All right, riding with Gunny. Monday, I got a special guest with me, Chris McDougal. I'm gonna introduce him in just 1 second. So what we want to do is sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation, a real-life conversation. As a lot of you know, there's crazy things going on in the world right now. You're probably already seeing different skin colors right here. So that's what this conversation is going to be geared toward. Commandant and Sergeant Major Marine Corps put out a message last week challenging leaders to have these conversations, with their young Marines so that they feel comfortable so we can all learn together. And we were talking about it before this. I met Master Sergeant McDougal retired. I met him as Gunny McDougal in Tampa, Florida. I was a young sergeant. I think I was 22 at the time. I just met this big black guy coming in. And then we hit it off pretty quick. We used to do some ground fighting together. Yes. He would always talk to me after I left there and went to the drill field. I remember he was like one of the only Marines that I had that would call and reach out to me. And he'd be like, man, take some airsoft or he's like, you getting sick? Take the air spray or whatever. He's like, try that out. And he just did anything he could. So, but yeah, retired Master Sergeant recently, right? I was at your retirement.
Yes.
He's a husband, father, coach, and I think those last two things he would tell you is way more important than anything he ever did.
Yes.
In his Marine Corps career. And we were talking about this right before. Those three things were the same, right? Because I'm a husband, I'm a father, and then coaching is a big thing that I do.
Yes.
So yeah, is there anything like off the bat initially you want to maybe touch on or?
Well, I want to say this. I've known him for so long, and I feel that this is an honor for me to even be here, and I appreciate you even asking me to do it. And I mean, go away with any question you want to ask, and
and he just said that. So we haven't known each other for almost 10 years now.
Yes.
It's coming up on 10 years. And Marine Corps, we go different places, and we lose touch, and then you get back in touch. But that's the beauty of the Marine Corps is you always got those people you can reach out to. But this is scary, right? Like, so we were texting this weekend as I'm like trying to get some questions through my head, and how it's a little awkward to ask those things. It's a little scary, and I'm thinking in my head, like, is it harder to do it with somebody that you know, or is it harder to sit down and do it with somebody that you don't know? Because we do have that comfortable to be able to ask each other things, and I know, but I'm like, does it make it harder for me to ask him those questions because I do know him or because I don't? So that's going to be a challenge, I think, for everybody. And then hopefully through this, we can just help you guys have those conversations, take that, that chance to just, hey, express yourself, maybe ask something you don't know the question to. So the first thing, and it was really scary for me to ask because from me growing up, it was just, that's my friend. And the Marine Corps, I always see it as, that's my brother, that's my sister. I don't ever see color to me, but there is times, and you're proud of your color, your race.
Yes.
So there is times where you have to refer to someone as their color or as their race. So my first question is, do you prefer to be referred to as a black man or an African American?
To be honest with you, I don't really have one way or another. The reason why I say that is because if you call me you're a black man, it's not derogatory. It's not saying anything bad to me. It's not saying you're in this other place. African American, again, I'm a descendant from Africa, so therefore I don't get mad about that either. I think for me, mostly what I get upset with is when people try to distinguish between the two, especially in the Marine Corps or whatever, but you'll let a kid use the N-word. You know what I'm saying? You'll let someone use different terminology as in ghetto, ratchet. You're using these words right here to say that someone's doing something, but I always tell people when you close your eyes and you think about those things, what you really talking about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the first image that when you say ghetto is a black person, that's a derogatory word.
Yeah.
If ratchet is one of those words and you close your eyes, that's one of those words. So for me, again, back to your original question, black or African American, for me, I really don't, it doesn't bother me either way.
Okay. And so I think, so we can, have a good understanding, where were you born and raised, like prior to?
So I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi.
Well, that's the South, right?
That is the South.
Yeah.
I was born in 1979. That's kind of showing my age right there. Like I'm 40. But even during that time, you would think that it wouldn't be bad, but like I had a lot of different experiences, growing up, just being black in America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, like the school I went to, it was a mixture. It was like 60-40 white. I had a lot of teammates. I mean, some of my best friends are white.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of things that happen where if I was driving a nice vehicle, I got pulled over. Or if I was walking down the street, I got pulled over. Things of that nature. And it wasn't just white police officers.
Right.
It was black police officers too that was in our neighborhood, and it was just crazy because it's like, well, you can't be successful. You won't be successful. So just growing up in Jackson, it was kind of hard, but then I understood like I was meant to do something better.
Right.
And that's what I did.
And you said about the pulling over thing, and if I touch on that, because I'm never feared for my life being pulled over or nothing like that. I think that's been, I don't want to, like, so Hollywood, right? Like, you always hear that. Like, that's what every black person, like, I'm scared when I'm pulled over. But, I mean, I guess there's a reason that everyone is saying that, right? Like, it's not a Hollywood thing where you see it in every movie, right? It's been such a, I don't want to say cliche in movies, but you say it, I'm like, it's obviously happened. I don't think you're just saying that to say it.
Well, I think mostly it's this, man. It's like when you're seeing like what's going on. Me personally, when I was younger, I'd be like, damn, I just got pulled over. I didn't think so much about. I thought about getting harmed, but it wasn't like so much. Oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
But now being a father, and and I have young men.
Yeah.
So I have young men, and I mean my oldest son, he's 6'3", 205.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy. Yeah.
My middle son, he's 6'1". You know what I mean? So when they're out, I'm more worried about them because it's like I don't know what may or may not happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not only that, it just crazy to me how everyone always say the training of the police officer, or they were scared, like the police officer was scared or whatever the case may be. But we both deployed.
Yep.
And there's nobody that I think that has been deployed that haven't been scared or been worried about are they going to make it home to their families. But also we have rules of engagement.
Right.
And you and I both know that even in the Marine Corps, we're getting trained, but a lot of our stuff is OJT.
Yep.
Even when you're deployed. Patrols, convoys, whatever the case may be, because we don't go in depth sometimes in what we need to do depending on where you're at.
And then there's nothing like the real.
There's nothing like the real thing.
Right.
But what crazy to me is that I can be deployed, getting shot at, and I have to make sure that this person have a weapon. Because they're part of my rules of engagement when I go into wherever I go into. So to be back in America and we can just freely do whatever we want, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, how is that? Like, what is the repercussions of this? Because again, think about it. If you shoot one round down range, you got to explain that round that you shot. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So it just nerve-wracking at times, man. It's just nerve-wracking.
So now to kind of pull it back into the military side, because I think that's an important contrast for a lot of the people that are going to watch this, and I'm hoping civilians, friends, family, everybody watches this, but for the young Marines that follow, you made it to Mass Sergeant. We talked about that.
Yes. I did.
Early in your career, did you ever feel like there was racism or bias because of your skin color when you were a young Marine?
Oh yeah. Oh man. So I remember I was in boot camp, and I went to boot camp in San Diego. So I'm sorry for
Hollywood.
the people. I'm sorry for the people who gonna be mad about that. But I remember the drill master yelled, and he was like, "Tell the dark green Marine to come here." And I was like, Dark green marine. What the hell? So like I'm like confused about it, and then my drill instructor pretty much like he's talking to you. I'm like,
Yeah.
what did I do, right? But he didn't say dark green marine. He said dark green recruit. My bad.
You weren't
dark
even a
green,
Marine yet.
I wasn't
so it was
a Marine
even
yet.
worse. Yeah.
So he yells at me, blah blah, so on and so forth. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I move forward. A few years later, I'm at Paris Island at my first duty station. And it's myself and I have two roommates. Both my roommates are white gentlemen, but one of my roommates was taking our stuff. Like he was taking our stuff. I was probably there for 2 weeks at this point. And it's crazy because he was taking our stuff and I would go into my unit and I was like, hey, this is what he's doing, so on and so forth. They were like, well, take care of it. I said, what you mean? Just move me out the room. They was like, you're a POC. Shut up.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. I'll take care of it. So one day he took some stuff. He got a 2-piece. PMO ended up coming. All these people. And here where it became bad. Cause all the rest of it, like, it just POC stuff or whatever. But this one came bad. No one asked me anything. No one asked anything. It was a fight, and I was automatically the bad person. He was automatically the victim.
Yeah.
No one asked me anything. So we go in the next morning, and the company guns, I remember him talking to me, and he's like, you just a fucking thug. Excuse my language. But
Yeah.
he was like, you're a thug. And I'm sitting there like, I'm a thug. You didn't even ask me what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, you just think you this bully, you back on the streets, you're this, you're that. And I was like, but I can't say now, I'm a POC, right?
Yeah.
And the entire time, I'm like, damn, I left Mississippi to get this shit in here. Like,
Yeah.
so it was just crazy to me in that instance, like, cause I was so young, and it was like, these cats told me this a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's not a brotherhood because of the way I look, I'm automatically going to be the bad guy. I'm automatically going to be that person. So for me, it just been like a uphill battle.
And real quick, because I don't want to cut you off, but
Oh, you good?
and you said that. So what made you keep wanting to re-enlist? Because obviously there was good people that you met, but so that's going on. You're a young PFC. You're seeing this. Like, is it ever in your head like, hey, I need to get out of this organization? Or
so honestly, man, I always thought in my head, it's not the Marine Corps, it's the people. No matter where I go, the same people are going to be around. So I can quit this and hinder my family, or I can finish it up and take care of my family because my family meant everything
Right.
to me. Because about PLC Lance Corporal time is when I started making a family. So
yeah, okay.
yeah.
And then I wanted to touch on that because I was talking to you yesterday. I remember the first time that I heard dark green Marine, and it to me, like, I had to ask somebody what it meant. They were like that dark green Marine, and I'm like, at the time we were wearing green woodlands, and I was like, what? So I went and asked like a corporal. He's like, that's for a black Marine. I was like, and I remember just being I didn't even think that I was like, I don't understand why that was ever a thing. Maybe it's from the 60s or 70s, and then I still hear it today.
Yes.
Like, so I was
Yes.
I was at equal opportunity for my last chain of command. So we got a lot of training, dealing with all this stuff. And I would be and hear sergeants or corporals just, hey, go get that dark green Marine. I'm like, it's 2019,
Yes.
like that.
Yep.
Come here, let me talk to you, because I don't understand, and I feel like, and the reason why I stress that is so important, I don't think that young Marine heard it from somebody.
Oh yeah.
And it's generally an older staff NCO or somebody. He's not coming into the Marine Corps and hearing that term. That's not
no.
a term that's just
No.
out there, right? You're not taught on the yellow
Correct.
footprints that at boot camp.
No.
Somebody's saying that, and then you're hearing it, and then you're saying it,
Correct.
and it's not being corrected.
So I want to say, so I just retired. So maybe 3-4 years ago, Mouse Guns called me that. For real, Mouse Guns did. And I went to him, I said, hey, Mouse Guns, again,
Yeah.
you can't say that. And he was like, what? I always say it. And I was like, Mouse Guns, you can't say it. Like when I first was in the Marine Corps, I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is what they say.
Right.
But by that time, it should have phased out,
Right.
and it didn't.
And then even at that, you should have never had to feel like, oh, this is just what they say in the Marine Corps.
Correct.
I'm a PFC. That's a gunnery sergeant. That's a master sergeant. So I just gotta
Correct.
take it. And I think that's why these conversations are important, because I feel like, for one, anybody up that chain of command hearing it should go to that in defense of that young Marine. And then I also think that young Marine should be able to, in a situation like that, because we're not talking orders, right? Like being given, we're talking like man to man talking. Like you should be able to go in a way and talk to that.
Well, you gotta look at it like this though, man. Like, have you ever had this situation where you just check into a unit, you just at a unit, and when they're briefing you about certain people, kids or Marines, they say certain things. It's crazy. I know when they're talking about a black Marine because they say they're aggressive.
Okay.
They have an attitude.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
lazy. They don't want to do their job. But the crazy part is when you meet that Marine on a whole nother end, it's a whole different Marine. The Marine respectful, this, that, and the other. So to me, it's like everyone keeps saying, like with boot camp, well, you went to boot camp. You went to boot camp. That's only 3 months.
Yep.
That's 3 months. You're 18, 19, 20, whatever the hell old you are. So you live like, if I grew up in the streets, 3 months is not gonna stop me from living in the streets.
Absolutely.
It's not gonna stop me from what I learned, like how to. Oh, I know how to steal a car. I still know how to steal a car.
Yeah.
If I know how to sell drugs, I know how to sell drugs. If I know how to, you know, make a pizza, I still know how to make a pizza.
Right. Yeah.
It's just what it is. So I think a lot of times with senior leadership, and this black, white, green, yellow, it doesn't matter. I think that, one, we forget where we came from. And then once we do that, we never ask questions. We never train these Marines to be young men, young women. We don't do that anymore. Well, ever. if you really think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when I feel, and this might be an ignorant statement that I'm making, so I'm going to say that, but I feel a lot of times the black Marine already at the bottom of the totem pole. Because if they're not doing everything to the T, someone finds something wrong with them, and then they hold that one thing against them. And that's not right. You and I, we know a guy right now, he's a gunny with you. He Haitian. He has a little fire up under him. He has a little fire up under him.
He knows who we're talking about. Yeah.
But you know what's funny? When we was at AVs, that kid had the hardest time there because no one took into account that he was meritorious promoted all the way to sergeant. No one took into account that this dude knew his job in and out. Every time they spoke to this kid, it was about something. It didn't matter what happened, what it was. And again, we're in Florida. He'll wear a t-shirt. Why you have on a t-shirt? Yeah. Why you have that part in your head? I mean, but again, he was the main kid that if I need someone to come back, he came back. I'm talking about anybody needed him to come back. He came back. But in that battalion, no one knew what his capabilities was because everyone downplayed his capabilities. He was just a dirtbag all of a sudden.
Yeah.
How? You kind of get what I'm saying? Because of the way he held himself. Because he has pride in himself. He's going to do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, and so I was going to talk about this at the end when I wanted to wrap it up. So
I'm sorry.
No. This is good. So drill instructor, right? So I 100% believe in, and this is something that I learned, after being there. I 100% believe in you have to strip everybody down, shave everybody's head to make them equal. Now, does that all, and we'll talk about that, but because, right, that 3 months you're trying to indoctrinate them in honor, courage, commitment. And I've always loved it. Realistically, everybody's supposed to be on equal footing. And I used to tell my recruits, it don't matter if you're from a rich white family, a rich black family, a poor white family, or a poor black family, yours nothing here. Yeah. Like, everybody's nothing and you earn it. But now that you say that and I start thinking, I'm like, there was numerous times where I would have, drill instructors come to me and they would want to do entries on a black recruit for his attitude way more often than
Yes.
a white recruit. And you don't even think about it in the time. And the ones out there that know my 88 kids, my 84, they know I was an advocate. Like, I never did, because I was white, but I was one of those troubled kids. I was one of those attitude problem kids. So I always just looked at it like I was just taking care of everybody. I didn't do it to anybody. But it was a quick to pull the trigger on the black recruits a lot more than it was on the white recruits. Like, oh, he's got an attitude, we'll fix that. But this one, he's got to go.
But think about it like this, though. Like, even when they have an attitude, why do they have an attitude?
Yep.
What did you say to them to trigger the attitude?
Right.
Did you come at them wrong? Have you been talking to them like they're stupid?
And I would say that. I would ask my drill instructors that. I'd be like, well, what did you do? Or are you talking to him different than you would talk to the other ones? And, some people out there were like, well, that's loving, man. Like, no. And then, so that is carried on to my second point that I have stressed so much since being a drill instructor. That works for those 3 months in boot camps. Because realistically, those drill instructors, and, you have senior drill instructor time, and that's awesome. But I don't care where that kid comes from. I want to make him a Marine, and that truly is probably what a lot of them want.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is, and you touched on it about making men and women, now once we hit the fleet, we expect that same transition to happen. And that's where, if we could just lose that thought process, and I always talk about this in my classes, is that person does have a backstory. We all come from different races and religions. So when you say things out of ignorance or just not knowing, because we're all Marines, I have a backstory, and you don't know my backstory. So when you're saying something, you don't understand how much you're offending me. And I can't put 21, or for me, 31 years of history aside for 10 years in the Marine Corps, or at that time, 3 months in the Marine Corps. So I think everybody needs to do a better job of, yes, the 3 months at boot camp, we strip it down, we're all the same. But when you get out and you're having discussions or you're talking to people, you need to understand the history behind the person wearing the uniform.
But here's the thing, here's the crazy part. So you said the transition, right? Help them transition. But if you think about it, you still the same person you was. You just became a better man.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I'm still the same person I was. I just became a better man. I just matured. So the thing is, why are we not helping these kids mature? Why are we not helping them get better? Because we had to go through those fires. We have to understand like what's going on. And that's the problem, is that you expect these people to have the same knowledge that you have, I'm 40 years old. My 20-year-old son do not have the same knowledge I have. He does not have it. So again, when I think about these young Marines, you got to think about that. They don't have the same knowledge you have.
Right.
So how are you going to teach them? So I give you a little story on that. So I had a master guns when I was a corporal. He was like, you need to invest your money. You need to do this. You need to do that, blah, blah. I mean, I'm a young corporal. I just got promoted. I'm sitting here like, dog, I got 2 kids.
You don't even know,
I don't, like, what you mean? Like,
paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, and he's talking to me, but he's not, he throwing it at me. He throwing bricks at me, right? And I'm like, it makes no sense to me. Like, you talk, because again, the way I grew up, don't put your money in the bank. They're going to just take your money. Until I grew up and I understood, like, no, they took y'all money because y'all owed them.
But that's what you're taught coming up.
But that's what you're taught. You don't understand, like, okay, if I do this, if I invest in this, if I do this, I can make these things happen.
Yeah.
So, again, but then you're looking at this young Marine that making dumb decisions, and we're talking down to them like we're their dad or we're their mom, instead of being like that big brother and like, dog, I understand why you did what you did, but it doesn't make any sense. So now you're in a hole. So now how we gonna fix it?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We never do that. And again, when it comes to race, when we bring up racial things, it's like there's no fix. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no fix. Like how hard is it just to have a conversation? I had a Marine where his great grandparents had slaves, so we had a whole full conversation about it.
Yeah.
We had a conversation, and everybody in the room like, I can't believe, like, I don't understand why he's not mad. It'd be dumb of me to think that his family didn't have slaves.
Right.
It'd be really dumb if I felt that some of my family members wasn't slaves. You kind of get what I'm saying? but we're sitting here at a table and we're able to have a conversation, and it's not an ignorant conversation. Now, if the conversation goes to the left or the right, okay, let's fix it. We just agree to disagree.
Right.
But a lot of times we don't have the conversation because everyone's worried about who's getting offended. But what everybody don't understand is when we don't have these conversations, people are still getting offended.
Yeah. And I'd rather get offended in a controlled environment.
Correct.
Well, now I can express why I'm offended.
Correct.
Then, we're out in the streets and I see you and I make an assumption about you or I say something.
Correct.
And then now we're in a fight. And
Correct.
then now everybody just sees, oh, like you said, oh, you're a big black guy. He's beating up on that white guy.
Correct.
But it doesn't matter what I said before that,
Correct.
So now we've had a conversation. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, and we're getting long, but this is
I'm
fine.
sorry.
No, this is fine. You brought up the story, and like I said, we were in Tampa together. So a big part of what we do in Tampa is, and it sounds bad, but it's an honor. It's a good thing. A lot of people go to Florida to retire. Right?
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
we do a lot of funerals. At the time, I think when we were there, we were number 2 in the nation, just because there's 2 national cemeteries. So we were doing 3 funerals a day sometimes.
Correct.
We had teams everywhere. And, so, you do the funeral for the family. A lot of time that's what I'm saying is retired 80, 90-year-old men. Sometimes we did young active duty, and those were very tough to do. They're all tough. But it was an honor for us. We're that last representation of the Marine Corps. We present the flag. I know I presented the flag numerous times. I know you did. But he was telling me a story, so if you want to touch on it.
So I was Gunny, and I was down somewhere in Florida. We'll just say that. And so we're there, and I got my group. It's 4 of us, and again, I'm the Gunny. I got like 3 Lance Corporals with me. You can obviously know who has more rank, or you know what I mean.
You got your medals on.
Yeah, you got all this stuff on, so like who it is. So I went to find the lead, the head person, and I'm trying to talk to the head person. The head person won't talk to me. They end up talking to the other kid, and I'm like, no, it's me.
It's your team.
It's my team. Like, what do you want me to do? Because I'm the one who's presenting. Like, I'm the one who's gonna set them up. They're not doing anything without me. And again, like you said, it's an honor to do funerals, and I used to tell my team that all the time. Like, this is the last time they're gonna see military wise for their loved ones. So we're gonna make sure it's the best of the best, no matter what happens. So in the instance, I'm thinking like, well, damn, like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to talk to me? I said, okay, I got you. No worries. Go ahead and talk to the Lance Corporal. So the Lance Corporal, he's talking to the Lance Corporal, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. So I said, man, don't worry about it. Cause my Lance Corporal, he pissed off. I said, dog, don't worry about it. We're gonna do the best that we do. And I went in there. We did the ceremony. We forwarded the flag. I'm the last one to get the flag. So I got the flag. I go to the spouse. I kneel down, and I give her the flag. As I'm giving her the flag, I say what I have to say to her. She's crying, she boo-hooing. So I give her a big-ass hug. And I was like, ma'am, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. She hugged me back. I stood up, I saluted her, and I walked off, and I waited. I waited to the end, because I always do that too.
Yep,
I always waited to the end. Funeral's over. I go back to her, and I was like, ma'am, is everything okay? Like, so now I'm talking to the spouse and everything.
Yeah.
So he's pissed off. He's pissed off. And then you know what I do? I take my glove off and I go shake his hand. Because I knew I was in charge. But those situations has happened, a few times. Where like people just don't want to talk to you. That case, he didn't want to talk to me at all. But there are other cases where I forced myself and I was like, you're going to talk to me.
And the reason why when you told me that and I was just so shocked and, I lost sleep thinking about it last night is because my experiences in Tampa were totally different.
I know.
Man, I went out. People would try to give me money to pay for my lunch. And I'm sure you had your meal paid for while you were down there. We don't go looking for that stuff, but it happens.
Yes.
But just anytime I went to do a funeral, poster boy, white boy coming up, sergeant, they love me, man. Like, and what is important about that is, and this is leading into my next thing. I did funerals for for black people,
Yes.
for Hispanic people, for Asian.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. I got the same welcoming no matter where. It was never a time where somebody was like, I really want a black Marine to present.
Yeah.
And that to me is so eye-opening, where I never understood, I guess, what white privilege was. And you hear that so much. I was never, they loved me anytime I went to do a funeral, you know?
But you hear something crazy. You said the poster boy Marine, right? So, you know, I got a mixture of Marines and stuff like that. I had like 50-some Marines at my last unit. And we'll talk about marriage tours and all this other stuff. And I said, what's the picture perfect Marine? I asked that question. Not one person said black, Hispanic, or Asian. Not one. I had 50 Marines.
Yeah.
It's 2020. It's 2020.
Yeah.
Because it's not presented, man. It's not taught. It's not taught that it's okay for you to look a certain way. It's not taught that. It's like we're still on the same.
Yeah.
We're on the same rotation, and we don't want to fix it.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But go ahead with your next point.
No, I mean, it's just crazy. And, you know, sometimes, you know, I don't have the answers, and I tell people in these videos all the time, we're not going to fix it here.
Oh, no.
But maybe this is, you know, just two people that now maybe I can talk to one or two other people. And then now, you know, and he's so wise and smart. He's wide
Thank
open.
you.
He'll talk to anybody anyways.
I will.
I did want to talk about, because you got to share yours, I want to share, you know, just my first experience, and I'm glad this is at the end, so people's like, oh, the white guy's not sharing his experience. What does he know? So I was a young corporal, and I had a black lance corporal that had been disrespectful to me. And I had wrote him up for a counseling or something. And at the time, our sergeant major was gone, so there was a master gun filling the role of the sergeant major. And he was a black guy, and he was awesome. He was awesome. So I remember going up there, and I had to bring my buddy, a great friend of mine. He's in Miami now. He was a black corporal. So it was me, a black corporal, and then the black lance corporal. We went to see the master guns. And, you know, we're doing the thing, and he read my counseling, and he did everything to it. And again, I don't want to say any names or anything like that. And then I just remember, and everything was right, and I 100% felt like that I was right in the issue. Yeah. Even my buddy, who was the black corporal, he was. Yeah. We were boys, and then we were friends with the lance corporal, but it was just one of those things. He stepped out of line. We had to handle it.
It happened.
And I remember the master guns. I was sitting there, and he turned his attention to the corporal and the lance corporal. He says, "Hey, man, like, we gotta fucking, excuse my language, we gotta look out for each other. Like, y'all see what's going on. We gotta look out for each other." And I was just like, to me, and I was just like, I didn't mean it anything. I didn't care about his, you know, color. Yeah. But it got me really thinking, like, man, was I acting a certain way? And then I guess realistically, it was just you know, that happens, right? Yeah. That happens, and I didn't understand, and it was just my first eye-opening experience on, like, what did I maybe do before that, or did I need to maybe watch sometimes, or was I being harder on a certain, I just didn't truly understand at the time, because like I said, I love everybody. When I was growing up, most of my friends,
but
you
see
know,
that,
are black.
But see, the thing is, like, even with that situation, because we don't talk about things, he probably could have opened up a little bit more with you. And like, hey, this is why I'm saying this. Yeah. But again, the way things are nowadays, like, oh, if I say this, then he's gonna feel that I'm against white people. If I say this, he's gonna think that I only deal with, you know, this type of person. And it's like, I know for me, I try to be wide open with everybody. Yeah. Like, everybody. And it's hard because, again, as a master sergeant, even my peers sometimes, man, I'm sitting here like, dog, this is a black Marine. I'm not saying, like, you got to take up for every, like, dumb fucking thing
it's
this
not
dude
an excuse,
does. Yeah. But, damn, have you not noticed that every time it's a black Marine, we do this right here? Like, have you not noticed that? I give you a prime example. I had a black Marine smoke weed. At the same time, I had a white Marine do cocaine. Why the hell did we send a white Marine to go to damn...
The Sacco?
We sent him to the Sacco. Then he went to his ass to he went to a rehab. I had him for a year. The black Marine was gone within 3-4 months, man.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Every time that kid would come back, he would do something else. So for a year, he was on my rolls. For a year, I'm sitting here like, why the like,
Yeah.
how?
Wow. Yeah.
We have to help him. We have to help him. I mean, that has happened. You know, and again, don't get me wrong. Don't. I don't want anyone to feel like, you know, it always been that way. I'm just giving you an example of times that it has happened where the glass wasn't full on both ends.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it happened all the time, but like a lot of things happen, and I would tell the leaders out there that be open-minded instead of being like, this is what it is and this is how we do it. Like again, you know, people getting shot. Well, they must have did something. Really?
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Oh, this person died. Well, you know, they went to jail like 5 times. What did they got price to? They got. Here's my thing with anything. Anything that happens, I understand shit happens. But if they get convicted, okay, cool. You get convicted. But what happening is nothing ever happens. So that's why people are mad. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's why people are in this state that we're in right now. Because it's like, this is able to happen and nothing happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can go shoot up a damn... Well, I can't go shoot up. You can shoot up. But someone can go shoot up a damn church. But we gonna make sure this cat make it to jail. I'm not the smart person in the world, but I would have offed his ass. Sorry. I'm just saying. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand that. So, but man, I really like enjoy this, man.
No, I appreciate it. And, you know, this where we at 37 minutes.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. But I mean, and you know, I try to keep these short, and if you made it to this end, you're obviously one that's interested or affected by this. The ones that have tuned out or left because it's too long, like, they're the ones that obviously can't sit down and have a 30-minute, because this conversation isn't a 2-minute, 5-minute conversation.
No, it's not.
Right? I feel like we could sit here for another hour and a half and tell stories. I have other things that I would like to say.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like, if you're going into that, like, hey, I have a timeline on how long I can talk about this with my Marines, you're already...
That's the problem.
You're not in it. You know what I'm saying? You can't put a timeline on some of these discussions. So, for the ones that made it here, you know, I hope you took something. I hope, you know, you're open to... you know, to talking to somebody. If you need to talk to him, I can get you his information. If you want to reach out to me, because you don't have leaders that can do it, you can reach out to me. You know, I just think that we all need to just be a little bit less ignorant and a little bit more open. We all don't come from the same backgrounds. We all have personal experiences, and we should share them. You know, so I really appreciate it.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man.
I love you. Thanks for coming, man. Hey, don't put the arms in there. Don't make me look small. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys later.